In the beginning, we see a family on a yacht trip in the Caribbean Sea. Oceanographer Tom and his family, including his wife Julia and children Cassie and Ben, encounter a series of strange events. Tom and Ben are busy fishing, and Cassie is engrossed in her gadget, leaving Julia alone for a swim. Suddenly, Julia feels an unsettling presence and a sense of dread, as if something large and dangerous is circling her. Simultaneously, the yacht's instruments begin to malfunction, but Tom, preoccupied with fishing, ignores them. Julia's condition worsens, and she starts to drown, but her screams go unheard by her family. The water seems to shift and pull her farther from the yacht, making the situation critical. Finally, Tom hears Julia's voice and rushes to the helm, leaving the yacht's fate uncertain. Julia Tom, with the children's assistance, dives into the water and is successfully pulled aboard and revived. Despite Tom's annoyance at swimmers not informing others before entering the water, Julia apologizes and the incident is forgotten as the family prepares to celebrate their son Ben's 13th birthday, with Tom lighting the candles on the cake. Amidst a joyous family gathering where Ben receives gifts and Cassie captures the moment with a group photo, an unexpected and intense storm disrupts the serene atmosphere. Cassie's boyfriend calls during the storm, but the connection abruptly cuts off, leaving her worried about his safety. As the storm intensifies, the family experiences jolts and rushes to the deck, witnessing a startling sight: massive whale carcasses surfacing around their yacht. Tom, knowledgeable about marine behavior, explains that whales can become disoriented during storms, but these particular whales pose a threat by pushing against the yacht. In an attempt to understand the situation, Tom bravely dives into the water but sustains injuries and returns aboard. Julia tends to her husband's injury sustained from the yacht's propeller, while he informs her about the probable damage to the yacht's shafts, hindering their ability to sail away. Despite Cassie's attempts to restore communication, both the radio and their phones fail to pick up any signals. Tom assesses their supplies, estimating only 4 days' worth of water, but notes that they were on a shipping route, raising hopes for potential rescue. Amidst ominous sounds, a family on a yacht witnesses glowing objects plummeting from the sky. Tom, taking a chance, steers the yacht away from an approaching meteorite, but the engine sustains damage. As another object falls dangerously close, they discern that these are artificial satellites from Earth. A powerful wind batters the yacht, causing its instruments to malfunction. Seeking refuge inside, the terrified family dons life jackets, bracing for the worst. Suddenly, an inexplicable ringing sound reverberates, inducing nosebleeds and nausea. Tom's attempt to signal for help with a flare gun proves futile as the family endures a perilous night on their yacht. Despite their relief at surviving, they discover a gaping hole in the side of the vessel, leaving them perplexed about its continued buoyancy. Venturing outside, they are astounded to find themselves in a surreal landscape. The water has vanished, and their boat now rests on a rocky outcrop amidst a barren, stony desert. As time passes, Tom endeavors to comfort his family, expressing hope that not all is lost. His observations reveal that the compass is malfunctioning, indicating that north is not where it should be, hinting at the extraordinary circumstances they find themselves in. The Earth's poles have shifted, causing the sea to retreat and revealing land that was once submerged. This catastrophic event has likely resulted in the extinction of humanity, leaving Cassie devastated and seeking solitude in the cabin. Meanwhile, Julia takes stock of their remaining supplies, and Ben releases colorful balloons into the sky as a signal of hope, hoping to attract any survivors. In the midst of the catastrophic flooding, Tom turns on the radio and miraculously receives a response from Nato, the captain of a small submersible. Nato reveals that they were deep underwater when the disaster struck, which is why they managed to survive. However, all communication systems have failed, and expecting help is futile. Nato calculates that the sea will return in about a week, and it will be harsh. He advises Tom and Julia to find higher ground and stay there. Julia promptly instructs the children to pack their belongings, while Tom directly asks the captain if he can save their children. Unfortunately, Nato explains that the submersible is too small to accommodate them all. After Naruto's partner's unfortunate demise, Tom persuades Nao to bring both children on their journey, despite only being able to take one person. Tom plots a course on a nautical map and assures them of reaching their destination in a few days. As the family prepares for their departure the next morning, Tom spots a man with a dog approaching the deck. As Tom approaches the injured traveler, he is unexpectedly punched in the face. Julia witnesses the attack and rushes to her husband's side, but the traveler fatally stabs Tom with a makeshift spear. Despite her horror, Julia manages to escape to the yacht, pursued by the assailant who injures her arm. With the help of her children, who respond to her screams, Julia barricades the cabin doors. Seeking safety, she hides Cassie and Ben in a locker, entrusting her daughter with a flare gun for protection. Julia, while being instructed to shoot only as a last resort, hides in the back bathroom after the killer breaks down the doors. The intruder heads to the galley and grabs food, revealing his hunger. Holding a can of food, the man searches the yacht while Julia arms herself with a kitchen knife. Julia jumps overboard and hides beneath the yacht as the killer enters the cabin, but the dog attacks her, forcing her to kill it. The man hears the dog's yelp, goes outside, and finds the dog's body. As Julia climbs back onto the yacht, she falls into the hands of the killer, who beats her and attempts to strangle her. Witnessing this, Cassie takes action and shoots the man with a flare, setting the yacht ablaze. Julia swiftly instructs the children to escape while she retrieves packed bags and jumps overboard, where Ben discovers his father's lifeless body. Cassie rushes to the corpse and breaks down in tears, while Julia shares a final kiss with her deceased husband before noticing the killer leaping from the burning yacht. Fleeing from a relentless pursuer, a family of four, Julia, Cassie, Ben, and their father Tom, find themselves stranded in a desolate and toxic wasteland after their boat explodes. Seeking refuge in a rocky canyon, they discover that the water is undrinkable. Despite the guilt-ridden Ben believing their pursuer's arrival was due to his actions, Julia defends him and urges them to continue their arduous journey. As they press on, they encounter a hammerhead shark carcass, but Julia's warning of their pursuer forces them to abandon it. They stumble upon a field of toxic waste barrels, and Julia, aware of the imminent danger, propels them forward. Amidst the remnants of human waste and pollution, Ben's severe dehydration becomes evident, and Julia shares the last drops of water with him. Cassie's despair deepens, but Julia's unwavering determination keeps them moving. Finally, they find solace in the fuselage of a sunken plane, where Julia reflects on her past with Tom through an old photograph. After a failed dive, Tom is brought in with decompression sickness, causing his children to weep and bid him farewell. Cassie, awakened by a noise, steps outside and becomes bait for a killer, who is unaware of her plan. Julia ambushes the killer and stabs him, but they soon discover that something more dangerous than humans lurks in the desert as the killer's body is scavenged. As they continue their journey, Julia consults the map when Ben suddenly rushes ahead and drinks from a salty puddle, making him sick. They build a makeshift shelter from the sun, but are forced to flee when Julia hears strange sounds. Spotting a large ship surrounded by crashed containers and wandering people, they call out for help, but the people, seeing giant crabs, dash into a container and lock the doors, ignoring their pleas. Despite being wounded in the leg by the crabs, Julia, Cassie, and Ben climb onto a container and watch as the crabs penetrate the doors, killing everyone inside. Julia ties a scarf around her leg to stop the bleeding and passes out, waking up alone and terrified the next morning. After being attacked by deep-sea arthropods, Julia, Ben, and Cassie find themselves in a dire situation. While searching for food and weapons, Julia cauterizes her wound and discovers a radio, allowing her to contact Nato. Nato informs them that the sea will return soon and urges them to find shelter. Despite being lost without a map, they spot a yellow submarine in the distance and begin their perilous journey towards it. However, they encounter a toxic, waste-contaminated canyon, causing Julia to become separated from the children. Cassie and Ben manage to reach the submarine, only to find Nato badly wounded and admitting his impending demise. Despite a great concept, the film failed to make an impact due to its numerous flaws. Cassie returns for her mother, who is fighting off the emerging crabs, and they barely make it to the submarine before the crabs overrun the boat and kill the mother. The family boards the submarine just as a massive wave carries it over the horizon and drags it across the rocks. Julia watches the events of the past few days flash before her eyes and passes out. When she awakens, she finds the submarine in a ruined city, carried there by the wave. Here is the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more,